Perspective on Florida Gateway College Television is sponsored by Nutrien. Nutrien, feeding the future.
Hello everyone and welcome to Perspective. This is a public affairs presentation of Florida Gateway College. My name is Mike McKee and my guests on the program today all represent the libraries here in Columbia County. We have Christine Boatwright, who is the director of the FGC Public Library here at the college. We have Katrina Evans, who is the director of the Columbia County Public Library, and we have research coordinator here at the FGC Library, Patty Morris, who we're going to talk to about the services. Some of them may have changed, some of them are not your grandfather's library anymore, and we're going to talk about those changes and what you can expect when you go to the library next time. We'll do that when we come back. Don't go away.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
Welcome back to Perspective on Florida Gateway College Television. We'd also like to welcome the listeners to WQHL Radio and WCJX Radio for their listening this morning or this afternoon or whenever it is you're listening to the program today. We have some guests from the Columbia County Public Library and the Florida Gateway College Library. Christine Boatwright is the director of the library here at the college. Katrina Evans is the director of the library, the Columbia County Public Library, and Patty Morris is a research coordinator. And first of all, there's two different libraries in town. What's the difference between the library here at the college and the library in town on the Columbia County Public Library?
Well, we all serve the public. We are open to the public 61.5 hours a week here at Florida Gateway College, and we serve everybody. However, our mission is a little different. We purchase leisure materials, we purchase DVDs and audiobooks and children's books, but our mission is to serve the students, faculty, and staff here at Florida Gateway College, which is a little different than the public library.
Yeah, do people do a lot of research at the Columbia County Public Library, or is it mostly pleasure reading for them?
We do have a lot of people who come in and use our reference sources to do research, but we have probably even more who use the library primarily for leisure reading or viewing, as we have DVDs. We have also audio books that folks can check out, lots of children's materials and just different programming, like storytime programs for kids of all ages and things like that you wouldn't have at an academic library, certainly.
Now, are people doing research for writing maybe a book, or are they doing high school work? And I know that sometimes internet connectivity for a lot of people that live in the rural areas is lacking, and that's been a major obstacle for economic development here in Columbia County, and a lot of people will go to the public library, am I correct, and use the public library internet services? Yes,
that's absolutely true. We have public internet stations at all three of our library locations. We have a main library here in Lake City downtown. We have a West Branch library that's out west of Interstate 75.
Am I to understand that was the old Sports Hall of Fame building?
Yes, that's correct, in the old Sports Hall of Fame building. And then we also have a branch in Fort White, the town of Fort White, that's right across the street from Fort White High School. And all of those library locations have public access computers, and we have usually around in the neighborhood of about 3,000 sessions a month system-wide for people using.
And I know you probably don't try to figure out who is using it, but do you see a lot of high school kids that are doing homework assignments that are given to them at their school, or maybe college students that maybe don't have a chance to get out to the college to do it, but maybe do it at your library facilities?
We see everything from school-age kids to senior citizens and everyone in between.
How are senior citizens doing on the internet? Are they, I don't mean to make fun, but sometimes, like my mother will get on the internet and sometimes she can't see, or she times out and she doesn't understand what that means. Is there a lot of help that comes from staff to help those seniors that maybe a little bit novices when it comes to doing that?
Actually, they do really well on the computers. I think a lot of seniors use the computer to communicate with their family through Facebook or email and stay in touch that way. We also have, in partnership with Career Source Florida Crown, we're offering some basic computer classes out at their computer lab in their offices on US 90, and offering a series that the next series starts on April 11th. They're Thursday mornings at 10 o'clock. And they 6 classes starting with basic computers. So if you've never touched a computer before, that would be where you would start. And then basic internet, basic email, internet safety, and then basic Microsoft Word and basic Microsoft Excel. And those classes are all open to the public, and they can register by calling the library.
Now, is there a cost to doing that?
No, sir. All the classes are free.
All right. So if you're a novice and want to get into it, I know that it's hard to believe that there would be a lot of people out there that wouldn't be familiar with Outlook and things like that. But I guess we'd be surprised when we look and see, and at no cost, and just make sure you sign up and take advantage of the services. I wanted to get to Patty because the difference between the public library and the Florida Gateway College Library is that the main mission is to do research for students. What type of, are we still writing term papers in college, or is that something that
Yes, certainly. Yeah, we have a lot of students that come in and ask for help with finding research, finding articles. We still have a lot of print materials, so some prefer to use the information that way, but sometimes they just need a little one-on-one instruction to feel comfortable with using the databases and the other electronic resources that we have, and also citations are a big part of what the work that we do with the students. There's the citation styles can be complex, and it can be some points on your paper, so we want to make sure that we give them good instruction on how to do that correctly.
Now, and I know that a major part of your education here is to be able to be public speaker, and so you have to take public speaking, and I understand that those instructors will say, you need to research this topic, and I need you to do a speech on that, and they need maybe 3 sources. Is that kind of where you come in and help them out?
Yes, speech class is one that I work with those classes, the instructors and the students a lot. I go into the classroom and do presentations on how to find information and evaluating sources. Also the college experience class, the student success class. I do a lot of presentations and work with those instructors and students a lot. So, and they all have papers that are due in there and in those classes.
Christine, I don't know whether this is something that happens here. Again, we work together all the time, but we don't really we don't talk shop. I don't tell you about the TV production end, and I don't normally ask about what's going on in the library. But do you have students that come to you that really aren't familiar with how to use a library?
Yeah, it happens a lot. You think that most students are probably going to grow up going to a public library or using their school libraries, but it's not surprising when we do see students who haven't. We have a beautiful space, and it's open to...
And you're looking at it right now, and again, the people on radio can't see this, but this facility opened 6 years ago.
Yep.
And you've got how many volumes of...
We have about 30,000 volumes. That includes our print, our DVDs, our audiobooks. We have the Lake City Reporter on microfilm back to 1900. We also keep the paper copies of it from 2005 until now.
And it's a very quiet study space. There's the Nutrien Archives. They're the sponsor of that.
There's Nutrien sponsors our archives and special collections. We have the Florida Gateway College history as well that we store in our archive space.
Now, when you look at other libraries, we got a pretty good selection of audiobooks.
We do, and that's because we're in a very rural area. A lot of people drive. We serve 5 counties. It's twice the size of Rhode Island, as my former director used to like to remind me. And so we have people who drive from Jacksonville, we have people who drive from Gainesville, from Valdosta to work here and to take classes here. So an audiobook is a really, really great way to pass the time on I-10 or I-75.
You know, and I have a friend that works in the state capitol, and he drives to Tallahassee from Lake City every day.
Oh,
And
that's a long drive.
That's 90 minutes each way. So, and he passes the time by doing an audiobook.
Yep.
Now, this collection was begun under the leadership of Jim Morris,
Right.
the former librarian, and you've kind of carried that on to continually add books. What are some of the popular titles? Is it mostly fiction?
Yes, I think that most people, when they're reading for fun, they like to do fiction. Not all of us. Some of us prefer our nonfiction reading, but audiobooks, by and large, nonfiction is not as popular as the fiction literature reading. We have Stephen King and John Grisham and all of the popular.
Well, and you also have those in hardcover books as
We
well,
do.
and some softcover.
Yep.
So if somebody wanted to read for pleasure, they should come out and take a look at the
Sure.
selection that we have here at the college.
We have a different kind of selection than the public library, but we kind of complement each other in that respect. And there are plenty of students who are here to do research, but since they're here, it's a good opportunity for them to come out. We're open. Since we're open 62 hours a week, or almost 62, I think we're open a few more hours than Katrina, the public library. So, sometimes if they're not able to get into one, they can come to us. If we're not open, then they can go visit Katrina. We've got a lot that we can offer everybody.
All right. We're going to continue our conversation with these librarians from Lake City, Columbia County, Florida. We'll do that when we come back. You're watching Perspective on Florida Gateway College Television.
Hi everybody, I'm Jack Hanna. Since I was a boy, I've been fascinated with animals, especially their tireless work ethic. Just look at birds who gather supplies to build nests, or penguins who travel up to 500 miles to secure food for their families. This work ethic is shared by our best friends, canines who perform life-saving work every day. Dogs comfort returning veterans. They work with diabetics, alerting them when there's a change in their blood chemistry. Working dogs are valuable in many ways. So please join me and American Humane in supporting our heroic working dogs. Go to AmericanHumane.org to learn more.
Welcome back to Perspective on Florida Gateway College Television. My guests today on the program all represent either the Columbia County Public Library or the FGC College Library here. Christine Boatwright, Katrina Evans, and Patty Morris are all librarians by trade. You mentioned that Nutrien has an archive here, and I don't think people realize how special that archive. And Patty, you may be the one that answers this question. But it's kind of a neat place to kind of reminisce, go back. I mean, if you've lived in Lake City any number of years, you can go back and read a newspaper from when you were in high school, and maybe see a picture of you on the tennis team back in 1972 or whenever. How cool is that to be able to stick a microfiche into a reader and see those headlines?
Right, we have the microfilm, as Christine said, going back to about 1900, and we have a lot of people that come in to look up old news stories or look up obituaries or genealogy. We get requests for that we feel look up information. So it's a really great resource, and it's unique, and we get requests from all over. Christine, did you want to add anything about the microfilm, the Lake City Reporter?
Well, we have it back to 1900. We do have a lot of people who will come in doing genealogy research, who will do kind of research on their local history, their own personal history. But yeah, I mean, if they were on the tennis team in 1972, they'll call us, and of course they'll say, was it 72 or 75 or 73?
We've
I
had
can't quite remember.
We had a reference question where somebody said, I was on the front page of the paper when I was a kid. I want to show it to my grandson, so help me find it. So that's...
Can you be a little more specific, right?
Yeah, so we try, we look through as much of the paper as we can, and usually we're successful with that. So we like to help people find what they're looking for.
You know, one of the most interesting requests that I've ever gotten is I'm not going to name the person, but they were asking about a flooding situation, and they said Hurricane Dora. I think Dora hit our area in 1964, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And so they said, I know there was an article on the front page of the Lake City Reporter from 1964, and it shows pictures of this flooded area and these people that want the county to, you know, and I'm thinking, wow, that's really a good memory to go back to 1964 to know exactly where it flooded, because that was a major hurricane that hit the southeast in Florida, and but it's, you know, and I know that do we still have the New York Times on microfiche?
We do not, but we do have it on the electronic databases back to 1858.
51.
51?
Yes,
51 now.
before the Civil War.
Well, and you know, and the reason I asked that is because I remember one of our instructors used to send their kids over here to get the headline where Kennedy was, or not Kennedy, but Lincoln was assassinated, and it was on the cover of the New York Times, or the front page of the New York Times, which is really weird to be able to call that newspaper up and see that headline back in the day.
Right, the New York Times Historical Database has the actual paper, the whole paper. So I always tell students it's interesting not only for the news stories, but if you're doing some writing and you want to see what an apartment cost in New York City in 1900, or what a laborer, what their salary was, or a seamstress or something, so or the ads, how much a loaf of bread was, or something like that. So it gives you, you know, the time capsule of what life was like back in that time.
Now I know that you could use our facility to write a book.
Right.
If you wanted to do a historical, I'm reading a book right now on a stowaway that was on the expedition to Antarctica back in the early turn of the century, and you think about the research that went into that to know exactly what was happening in New York City at that time, and you know, you have all of that here that people could, if they wanted to write a fiction or nonfiction but wanted to use some references to back in the day, they could do that.
Well, because we have the physical books, about 30,000, but we have another, I think almost double that in ebooks that are available. Now, if you're a student or a staff member, you can access those from your house, your cell phone, anywhere. But even if you're a community member, you can come in and use our computers. We have 80 computers available to the public, and you can access our databases here in the facility, and you can look at the articles from 1901. Now, when was that Antarctica trip? I can't remember.
I know they talked
about it.
They talked about it was a and I just started it. I've just read like 5 pages of the book. I was going to read it on vacation, and then the flight was only a short time, and then we.
So you didn't read it at all.
Then we were on vacation, and you know, so I never got the chance to. But I am gonna read it. But it was about an icebreaker that was breaking ice flows so that passenger ships could get passage. The Titanic route was one of the routes that this ship was breaking the ice for, and they were going to go to Antarctica. And a young man from New York swam to the boat and got on it and stowed away and actually participated in the expedition of Antarctica.
Well, I guess he's lucky they didn't throw him overboard.
Yeah, really. Yeah, that would have been terrible. People can do genealogy research as well. I know that I know Mary Jane Weaver, and she doesn't mind me telling her name, but she does constant genealogy work in the library. I know that there's some other folks that like to post old pictures on their Facebook page.
Yes.
Either on Throwback Thursday or just, do you remember when? And so they'll do that stuff. But that's available.
It's available.
At no charge. You're just requiring that they get a library card.
Right. A community card, just come in. As long as you live within our 5-county region, then you can bring your driver's license in. Now, we only let adults get cards, so you have to be 18 or older, but you can bring your children with you. We have a family-friendly study space, and we have children's books to help with that area too. And because, you know, a lot of our students are not traditionally aged. We have lots of families who you've got both parents that are trying to get their education while they've got their kids, they've got homework. And so we have the family-friendly study space available for them to kind of keep an eye on things and let their children stay busy and be occupied while they are doing their own homework. But we also support our early childhood education programs. So those are we have a bachelor's degree and an associate in science degree, and so we have books and research materials to support those programs as well. So that's why we kind of try to keep both areas happy.
You know, and the great thing about this library is that it was designed with study spaces. You've got what, 6 rooms?
Yeah,
where,
we've got
talk about that a
6.
little bit, about the where you could go and study in a group, which is
Yes.
a lot of the learning that takes place here at FGC is collaborative learning, whether it's in the nursing program and a lot of nurses will come over here and study together to make sure they pass their exams for
Yes.
anatomy and physiology and such. But these rooms are available. They're very quiet.
Yep.
What do you have to do?
So we have 5 study rooms. 2 of them are larger, 3 of them are smaller, and then we have the small microfilm room where the Lake City Reporter is housed, which that one has a computer as well. The larger study rooms hold 6, 8, 10 people. I would probably not want to put 10 people, but we've seen it. When they are studying for exams, they will cram as many people as they can in there, and they're all on the whiteboard, and they have bring their laptops. Each study room has a computer and a whiteboard, but they also have a large TV in one of them, and so people often will connect their laptop to it, and so they can work collaboratively, because the education shouldn't be in a vacuum. So it's good to be able to come to these kind of spaces to hang out and to be able to know that you have a solid Wi-Fi signal most of the time. You know,
Yeah,
we live in a
sometimes.
rural area and things happen sometimes. I live in an area so rural that I can't get internet. And so it's good to know that we have libraries available for people to be able to access this 21st century technology.
You know, the other thing that you do, which I think is great, is we're getting ready to come up on final exam time, and you guys do something interesting. You not only open extended hours
Right.
and at night, but you also provide snacks and kind of, what is it called?
We extended hours or late nights in the library. We open up for a few extra hours a week, but we also bring in the Student Success Center, the tutors, the math faculty come in, and so it's basically your last minute cram session. Get ready for your exams. Eat junk food, stay up. Who knows how long you're going to actually stay up, but we're open until 9 p.m. But we have people that stay in the parking lots even on the Wi-Fi. I'm sure that happens at the public library as well.
Well, you know, and it's funny that you say that, because over spring break I came out here and a couple kids were sitting in front of the sliding glass door, and they were getting a Wi-Fi from inside the building.
Yep.
And I'm assuming they were doing their assignments.
Of course,
that
I'm
were due.
sure. I'm sure.
But I mean, that's kind of crazy that we're, you know, we are a provider, and I know the public library. Probably there's people out there that if it weren't for the public library, they would not get ahead in life. I'll just put it that way.
Yes, that's true. We have a great program that I wanted to talk a little bit about called Career Online High School, and that's a program that we started back in the fall of 2015, and it's funded by the state, and it allows students to get a fully accredited online high school diploma through their public library, and they have to be at least 19 years old, so they have to be adults. They have to have a library card in good standing, and do a series of assessment where to see if they qualify, and then a course online that they have to complete in a certain amount of time, and an interview at the library. We just had a graduation ceremony a couple of nights ago at the library that was fantastic. We had 9 people who participated in the graduation ceremony. But to date, with this program, we've had 55 students get their high school diplomas through the library.
Which is more than 10% of the graduates in the whole state.
That's
So Columbia
for
County
that,
is
for that
really
program, right?
Well, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the Friends of the Library, which is a support organization. Talk a little bit about, now you are the secretary for Friends of the Library. What is that set up to do? It's to support?
We support the library financially, and I'm on the board. I mean, anybody can be a friend. It's just a $5 individual membership or $10 family membership, and it just supports the library and the programming that they do. So Katrina will present some needs that they have. We have given for the collections and a lot of the like the movie license, to be able to show movies at the library, and gosh, I don't know, all kinds of things that we do. Yeah, we bought 2 vehicles a couple of years ago when theirs were really had needed replacing. So we're just happy to be able to support them with the programming and sponsor those type of things. So if anybody's interested in, I've been doing it about 4 or 5 years now, being on the board of the Friends of the Library, and I really enjoy it.
All right, we're going to come back in just a minute and tell you, number one, how you can volunteer at the public library. We'll also tell you how to get a library card, and we're going to tell you how to contribute to the Columbia County Public Library, because they're always looking for donations. We'll do that when we come back. You're watching Perspective on FGC TV.
If you love them enough to relearn math so you can teach them math, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.
Welcome back to the last segment of Perspective on this library program. Christine Boatwright is the director of the library. Katrina Evans is the director of the Columbia County Public Library, and Patty Morris is the research coordinator. Katrina, I know that you're always looking for people to help support, whether it's through volunteering at the library to maybe tutor someone on reading or things like that, or maybe a contribution that helps you purchase additional books that you might not be able to purchase.
Right. So we have an active volunteer coordinator. His name is Frank Lewis, and if you're interested in volunteering at the library, we have people who tutor adults in our adult literacy program, or speakers of other languages in English classes. We have students, we have a group of high school students who help with internet sign up at the reference desk. And so if you're interested in volunteering at the library, you could contact Frank Lewis at 758-2111, and any donations should be directed to the Friends of the Library, and you could do that at any library location.
Okay, and there's your email address, Katrina Evans, ColumbiaCountyFlorida.com, and you will be able to help them with any information about it, or if you want to make a phone call and talk to a human, you can do that. Now, I wanted to say one thing. I had a friend of mine, actually a mutual friend of Jim Morris and I. His wife was from Honduras, and she moved to America with her husband, and she went to the Columbia County Public Library, and a lady named Louise Houston helped her learn to speak English, and she was forever grateful for that. And that's a service that I don't think a lot of people realize is available, that there are people out there that will help speakers of a foreign language, within reason. I don't know whether you'd probably be able to do Chinese.
We do.
You do have someone who?
We absolutely. We have a lot of Spanish-speaking students, but we also have had over the years Chinese, Korean, just all kinds of different languages. And we do English classes every week at the library, and have had several students who have studied and prepared for their U.S. citizenship exam and received their citizenship.
Well, and the young lady who I'm talking about, and I'm not going to say her name, but she became a U.S. citizen, but she was eternally grateful for the opportunity that she got at the library. It wouldn't have been available anywhere else except the public library. So I just wanted to let you know that if you hadn't heard that before. Christine, again, if you want to come out and get a library card, you ask that they be at least an adult, 18?
We have 18, except for students. We have lots of students here, and actually anybody who is 11 years old or in 6th grade and meets the correct academic requirements can become a student. So, but anybody other than a student, you have to be 18 in order to get a library card.
All right. Well, thank you very much for being on the program today, and we thank you for watching and listening to Perspective on Florida Gateway College Television. Until next time, I'm Mike McKee. We'll see you later.